The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Porter, for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeJoy, do you know how big the Postal Service's deficit is?
So we lost $9.2 billion last year. Is that what you're asking? Or if you're asking about
Yes,
the $40 billion net equity?
Liabilities and debt.
I'm sorry?
The unfunded liabilities and debt, please.
Total is about $80 billion right now.
Okay, when was the last time the Postal Service recorded a net profit?
7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
I believe it was 2006. Mr. DeJoy, how much longer until the Postal Service runs out of cash?
We could run out of cash tomorrow if I pay our bills.
Okay, so at current levels, we can agree that 2021, now, soon. So my question for you is, you developed, last time we talked, you made some changes to the Postal Service in the summer and the fall, and according to the USPS Inspector General, the last time you made changes, you did not do any analysis of if those changes would save money. This is according to the USPS Inspector General. You're an executive and you did no analysis. Now, I've heard that you have a new strategic plan, but I'm really concerned that this plan may neither be a strategic nor a plan. Have you figured out if this new plan would save money and improve performance?
First of all, I will, while I respect the Inspector General, I disagree with the premise of the conclusion that you have reached, and if that was in the report, I disagree with that also. But having said that, we have extensive studies over the last 8 months to improve reliability of service and reduce cost and grow
Wonderful.
revenue.
Mr. DeJoy, will you provide those analyses to this committee?
When we announce the plan, we will produce a certain amount of information with regard to how we came about, what our solutions are. But the committee has its powers to request whatever it is that it needs, and it'll go through the process. And we're not embarrassed by the work we did. We're actually quite proud of it.
Okay, so we'll look forward to requesting those analyses and those extensive studies you just referenced. Did you hire any consultants to help with these studies?
So the organization has had embedded consultants for a long time, and to the extent that the management team used consultants to support...
Reclaiming my time, Mr. DeJoy, are those consultants employed by the Postal Service or by outside organizations and hired on a contract?
I consider all consultants, when you say the word consultant, I'm thinking they're outside organizations that are hired by, by the Postal Service.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. DeJoy, who are those consultants?
We have hundreds of consultants, ma'am. I couldn't.
Would you please provide a list to the committee of the consultants that were involved in this strategic plan?
I can provide you whatever information we have. What I was about to tell you, if you let me finish, was that most of this plan was designed by about 150 people within the organization. It was a postal-produced analysis, and to the extent that any of those groups had consultants working within the organization, they may or may not have used them. But this is a postal leadership plan that was put together.
Thank you. Mr. DeJoy, you've said you're committed to managing the U.S. Postal Service with excellence. With that in mind, what are the aspects of Postal Service today that you view as most critical, that you treasure the most? Building a little bit on what my colleague from across the aisle, Mr. Higgins, just asked you. You mentioned the employees, but what do you value about what the post office does? What are you not willing to change just to make a buck?
I think as I said earlier, one of the key attributes of the Postal Service that I think is very important, both from the standpoint of what it does for the nation and also for its viability, because this Congress, and as previous Congresses, say it needs to remain self-sustaining. And until that law
Mr.
changes...
DeJoy, we're claiming my time. Mr. DeJoy, what is it that the post
gentlelady,
office does that you treasure?
The gentlelady's time has expired, and I think the gentleman has tried to answer the question.